So, okay, so we've got those openings coming together now, and want to have a look at the entries that we have where these two doors at the moment obviously just go off to nothing. And so, looking at the photos here, you can see we've got a balcony and then the entry that connects to this staircase. So we're really looking to make that stair, but before we do that, we've got to establish the height at the top of the stair. And so I'm going to go to the south elevation again, and then just zoom to find that. So I'm looking at the front of the building there. So it's really important that we can see that wall and the door and the windows there that locate our view, so we know what we're looking at. And then I'll go back to the architecture tab and make a new level, just using the level tool. And this time I'm going to go right to left. So I'm going to click over here, just somewhere below that upper level, and then I'm going to take it over to the left and just make sure I place it outside the building. And so here, looking at these drawings, we can get an idea of the height, but I don't think it's dimension. But looking at the photos as well, we can get an idea. It's actually quite a decent step. I'd say, being an old building, it's probably above the maximum that you allow, which is 190. Thresholds can actually be a little bit higher, but generally you want to keep them to 190. And so, even though it is probably in reality higher than 190, I'm just going to make it 190. So that's the maximum riser height. And so there you can see it's got the dimensions still between my two levels, and I'm simply going to change that dimension there to 190. And I'll change the name of the level to entry. Oops. Landing. Okay, so that's the top of my stairs, but then I need another level for the bottom of them. So again, I'll just make a new level. Again, this time going right to left. And what do you know, it's turned out to be the right height, but if it isn't, you can always just click on that value there and change it to 500. And then I'm just going to change the name of this level to street. And then again, yes to rename corresponding views. And that's all I need to then start my stairs. I'll add the floors afterwards. So the floor for the landing at the top of the stairs, and then the floor for this balcony I'll add once I've done the stairs. Okay, so let's tell me a little bit. You haven't done the stair tool very much for the last project because it was single level, so you wouldn't probably have made many stairs. So it's a good chance to go over the stair tool now. And so I'm going to go in my floor plan to my new street floor plan. And then again, I'm going to zoom in to find that area where I want to be working at the front of the building. And then I'm simply going to click on the stair tool on the architecture tab. Now looking over in properties, you'll see when you click on the list of types there are actually 3 different kinds of stairs. There are lots of different types, but there are 3 basic options there. You've got assembled stairs, cast in place, and precast. So assembled stairs are for all your timber frame and metal stairs. And then the 2 at the bottom, cast in place and precast stairs, are both for essentially for concrete stairs. And so you won't need to use precast very often. Most of the stairs you'd be doing, if they're concrete, would be cast in place. And there we've just got the one option, monolithic stair. So I'm going to choose that. But then I'm going to change it straight away by going to Edit Type. And you can see there it's got the maximum riser height set to 180. and that's too small for us. I'm going to change that to 190. And then also the minimum tread depth, that's too big. So do you know the minimum tread for a private stair? It's 240. The public stairs though, it's 250. So it's good if you can do 250. If you really push for space, you can take it down to 240. But I'm going to make it 250 for now. And then the minimum run width as well. So that's 1,000. That's wider than the stair we want to make. So this stair, I can just tell by eye, that's less than a metre. So I'm going to change that to 900. So these are just the minimums, but we need to change that. So you click OK. And then you can see what's really interesting with the stair tool in Revit is that it does a lot of the working out for you. So notice how here it's got the base level, which is street, and then the top level, entry landing, that's been picked up automatically. You can change the levels if you need to, but those are the levels I want. So I want to go to the street, from the street to the landing, and then it's worked out how many rises we need automatically. 12. That's the minimum. But we don't want the minimum, we want the number that are there. So I'm going to try and find a view where I can see the steps clearly. Have a few. There we are. This one's probably okay. Yeah. Hard to see the top there, but I think that's right. So, okay, so I'm going to count the rises. So to count the rises, you count the top of each riser. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's 11. Well, let's try over here. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, pretty sure it's 11. And then we do have an extra step at the bottom as well from the street. Yeah. I think that probably is the best view. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think 11. Okay, so over here it's telling us 12. So I'm going to try changing that desired number to 11, and you'll see it's telling us that the actual riser height is greater than the maximum riser height allowed. So in other words, it's greater than 190. And that probably is the case. This is an old stair, and they probably built it not to code. Well, there wouldn't have been a code back then. So, so we'll assume that that's correct, that it is 190. But also, remember, we've got this step up from the street, which is going to affect our measurements as well. So that's actually, again, above 190, we'd say. So over in the stair properties, I'm going to change the base offset there to, well, again, let's just try and keep it to code. So even though in reality it's probably over 200, I'm going to make that 190 as well. And now it's going to change the desired number to 10, but I'm going to change that back to 11. And then we've got the actual riser height back down to below 190. Again, the real stair probably doesn't comply, but if we're going to do a new one, or at least make a new set of drawings, we may as well get it to comply. So there you can see, by adjusting the desired number of risers, it then calculates the riser height, and we can see it's 174.5, which is fine. And then the final thing is the tread depth there, which is still 280, so I'm going to change that to 250. And then we've got the run width up here, which is still too wide, so I'm going to make that 900. And then finally I can make my stair. So up here on the ribbon, you just need to make sure it's still on run with that first option there, which gives you a straight stair. And then by eye, I'm just going to click a point over here near the boundary, about there, You don't need to be too precise because you can move it afterwards. So I'm just going to click here roughly and then take it over to the right as far as it can go. So in other words, once I can see the stair finishing, that'll give me the 11 rises that I've set. So you can take it beyond that point and it'll still just give you the, again, the number you've set. So I'll click to the right past the end of that stair. That makes my staircase. But now I've cancelled, or pressed escape, and then I can select my stair. And I'm going to click move. And then simply snap to the edge on the top of the stair. And then bring that over to line up with my reference plane. And just come back to these photos so you can see the edge here is essentially a brick width from the edge of that wall. A bit hard to see, but I know it's a solid brick wall there. So let's see if we can get a view that shows it. That's a bit clearer. Yeah, not great photos, I'm sorry. Here we are. So you can almost see it there. So I'm pretty sure it is a solid brick. It's hard to see though, actually. Maybe it's not, because on this side it isn't. I always thought it was, but no, that looks more like it's about 150. So let's just say 150. It doesn't really matter if it's not an exact measurement. Okay, so again, I want the edge of this stair to be 150 from the outside of this wall. When I select the stair, it's not giving me that measurement. So I'm going to draw a dimension, just using this align dimension tool. I'm going to choose the reference plane and then the edge of my stair, and then just place that dimension nearby. And again, cancel so I can select my stair and then change that dimension to 150, which simply moves the whole thing up. That'll do. So I'll finish the stair now, and then I'm going to go to a 3D view so you can see it. There we are, we've got a nice staircase. This, again, doesn't comply because it's got a handrail that's open. So I don't really like this handrail either though, so I'm going to select that handrail, and for now I'm just going to change it to the 900mm pipe. Over in properties, and I'll do the same with the other one. That'll do. Pretty ugly, but good enough for now. And so then I'm orbiting so that you can see the heights more clearly. So notice that the step there is still quite a bit lower than the door, but that's okay because we know we have to put a landing in. So I'm going to go then to my entry landing floor plan, and then just go and make a floor using the floor tool. And this time, instead of using pick walls, I'm going to go to just make a rectangle, and then click on the corner of this wall, and then go down on the right, to the right, and click on the other corner of the wall there. Tick to finish, and then I'll change that floor type to generic 300mm, and you'll see why in a minute if I go back to the 3D view. Right, so if that floor isn't deep enough, it wouldn't connect to the stair properly. So if it was only 150, you can see it'll leave a gap. So that's why it's good to make it thicker. So 300 will do for now. We'll change it to something slightly different later on, but all of that will be concealed by the that wall around both sides of the stair anyway. Yeah, it does depend, but it's a bit tricky with concrete stairs because they do need enough to engage with the floor, enough depth. And there are ways of extending them in other ways as well. But yeah, look, just to do it quickly, it's not a bad idea to make the floor deep enough to connect to the stair. Maybe 300 is quite thick though, so maybe I'll just show you how you can change this to something in between. That might even be better. So with that floor selected, I'll go to Edit Type, and I want it to be 200. So we've got this beam and block, which is 200, but I don't want that, so I'm going to make a new one. Go to Duplicate, and I'll just make it generic. Oops. 200 mil. We'll edit the structure and change the thickness there to what's 200. So that way it's not quite as chunky or thick, but it still just connects to the stairs, and that's good enough for now. So that might be better. And so then I also want to have a floor for the balcony, but notice how here that there is quite a decent step from that landing up to the door. Right, but we know that that's what is there in reality. And then while I'm at it, I'll make the landing, also the balcony. So back to the entry landing floor plan, and then click on the floor tool. And again, I'll just go to use the rectangle tool and click on the corner of the building, and then just bring it down to the left so it lines up with the reference plane there at the bottom, but I'm not really that worried about the actual depth of this balcony, so about 1 metre. Oh, and now I've thought about it, I've realised actually this one, sorry, is inset on both sides, it should be. Well there, no actually there it's pretty close to being, well it's flush with the, probably is flush with the neighbouring building. It's hard to see if this fence is flush with that as well, but it probably is. Hard to know for sure, but okay, so what I'll say is that this edge here maybe can line up with the inside wall there. So again, it's a good chance to look at the Align tool, so clicking on Align, I'll pick on the inside face of that wall and then choose the edge of my floor to line it up. That should be okay. Tick to finish, and then checking it in the 3D view, you can see then got this new floor lined up okay, but when we get more detail in there, we can line that up properly. So then the final thing is to have something for the bottom of the stair to connect to. So I'm going to go back now to my street floor plan, and then just make yet another floor. And again use the rectangle tool and just snap to the corner of my stair, and then bring that down to the left so I'm touching the boundary. That's good enough. Tick to finish, and then again, as always, check in 3D, and we can see it's too low. What's going on there? That should be right, so what's going on? So that base offset, what am I doing on here? That's street. Oh yes, of course. Okay, sorry. I did the street level this time, so it's a bit different to what I've done before. So I included that plinth. So yeah, and that's good. Then we can have a look at doing the footpath. So here I've got this step up. So all I need to do now is select that floor, and then change the height offset there to 190. And then I'm going to go back to street just to make it a bit clearer. Well, I've done that. And I'm going to make yet another floor. I'm just going to draw a rectangle lined up with the edge of my boundary. And I'll finish that. So this floor essentially represents the footpath. So now when we look at that all together, maybe I'll change this step or this floor to a thicker floor. Maybe the generic 300 there might be okay. So that gives us a good idea how you step up from the street onto that floor before going up the stairs. But then you can see also that this stair looks a bit strange because it's not supported by anything. So I'll go back to the street floor plan, make sure I've got that floor selected, and just go to edit boundary. I'm just going to drag this edge across, maybe to be underneath the first step there. And I'll finish that and then show you in the 3D view. That sits there well enough. So we'll do a bit better. Right, so then, if we add the fences in, that'll give us a good idea of the that front area of the building. And again, you can see how the stair connects to those different floors, and of course, the floor inside is still at the height of the door there, so that's our final destination. Yeah, it's good to think about all those things and how floors and stairs have their heights set still essentially relative to the levels. Even though I did show you that you can use these offset options to bring it up or down slightly from the different levels you make. So, sort of see at the top of the stair. Yeah, so I was going to show you, you could extend the railing to meet the wall, but because it's got something else there, it's a bit hard to see, but I'm sure there's some sort of cast iron thing there that's different to the balustrade on the stairs. We'll do that separately. So, yeah, so give that a go, and see if we get time to look at the roofs after that, but if we don't, we'll do the roofs next week. But yeah, at least try and make a start on the stairs today, that'd be good.